That isn't sexy. It's really not. It's the last thing in the world that you think about sexiness, VAT. They don't go together at all. But you're now reaching that point that you have to VAT register. Or you VAT registered and maybe you're missing out on a few things. Click through this video and you'll see what you can find. First thing to remember about VAT is HMRC don't remind you. They sort of do remind you. They'll send you an email to your message box online that you'll get another email that says you've got a message box in your online portal, and that'll go in your junk mail and you'll forget about it. You're not going to get a piece of paper through the post that says your VAT return is due at this quarter, please send it to us. That's not what they do anymore. It's all about electronic communication. But more importantly, it's about that first VAT return. Because once you know that there's a VAT return to do, you go, okay, so that's the quarter. All right, I've got to remember I've got to do it 3 months on. But if you don't remember that, and you don't think about that, and you become VAT registered, the first time that you hear that you should have done something is the letter that lands on your doormat that says, you should have filed a VAT return. And by the way, this is the amount that you now owe us. So what? But I've not, I've forgotten to do the VAT return, but I don't know that. There's absolutely no way I don't know that. But more importantly now, with our new penalty regime, that's now giving you a penalty point because you've not filed the VAT return. So you need to remember to document the dates of your VAT returns. Put them on a calendar, put them somewhere that you regularly look at, that you go, yes, I've got to capture that information on this date. What you don't want is those penalty points, because penalty points don't mean prizes, like bullseye. But what they do mean is if you do anything else wrong, they build up and then you might get a penalty. They don't disappear for 2 years from the point of which you've incurred the first one. Second thing, flat rate scheme. I don't mind, you're talking about VAT. VAT is 20%. It's 20%. I know it's 20%. That's what I do. I charge people 20%. That's what I do. Yeah, but what about the flat rate scheme? What? Flat rate? What? What are you talking about? Well, the flat rate scheme is a simplification in terms of filing your VAT return. And what do I mean by that? Well, usually you'll either account for VAT on the invoices that you receive and the ones that you send out, or on the cash that you've paid out against the cash that you've received. That's how you account for VAT. But if you're a business with a turnover up to about £200,000, you can use the flat rate scheme. And what the flat rate scheme does is it apportions a percentage based on your industry to your VAT return. Okay, right, that sounds great, mine, but how does that help me? Well, rather than having to work out 20% of your sales, 20% of your expenses, work all that out and then send it all off, you basically go, what money have I received this month, this quarter? Okay, I've received £10,000. What's my rate applicable to my industry? 10%. Okay, 10% times 10,000, that's what I've got to pay. Job done, finished, move on. Now that might be really important to you because that's 20%, isn't it? So as long as you meet some rules, and there's some quirks within there, but as long as you meet some rules, you could be saving an extra 10% from His Majesty's Revenue and Customs just by using the flat rate scheme, by doing really nothing extra. But there are tweaks that you need to be aware of, and you need to make sure that you speak to somebody about those tweaks before you go into the flat rate scheme. We talked about flat rate scheme. What else could you do? Annual accounting. Hold on a minute, Ryan, but annual accounting. You've talked about it has to be quarterly. That's what you said at the beginning. Where does this annual stuff come from? Well, the annual stuff is again another simplification, sort of. What it means is you work out your VAT for the whole year. And in the first year, you estimate it. And then having estimated that VAT, or what it actually is, you then end up dividing that by 12 and paying that amount per month. It's a simplification. It saves you having to do a quarterly return. And you end up with a bit of extra time at the end of the year to do your annual return. You get effectively 2 months rather than one. So it's a simplification. It enables you to plan your cash flow better, because you can go, well, I'm going to owe VAT of £10,000. Well, let's make it £12,000 because the numbers then work, don't they? Divided by £12,000. See what I did there? Quite clever. But you pay £1,000 a month, but you're budgeting for that money rather than having to save it up quarterly and paying £3,000 a quarter, which is quite a big difference between those two. So these things, the flat rate scheme, the annual accounting, are about helping you manage your cash flow, but also manage the process in terms of submitting a VAT return. But Martin, I don't sell services and I don't sell goods, I sell cars. Brilliant. Okay. Are they nice cars? Ferraris, Lamborghinis, something like that? No, they're not. Okay, that's fine. But what's that got to do with VAT? Well, do I have to charge 20% on every sales invoice I get? Yes. Right. But every time I buy a car, does that mean I can recover 20%? No. What do you mean no? Well, I mean no, because you're buying a car from somebody like me and I'm not VAT registered. My business is VAT registered, but I'm not, and I'm selling my personal car. So there is no VAT on that because it's a VAT exempt thing because I'm not VAT registered. Well, hold on a minute. That means that I'm paying 20% VAT on all my sales, but I've got no expenses that I can get back. Yes, but no. What? Martin, look, what are you talking about? You're making all this up as you're going along. Well, that's where some other rules come in. And we're talking about the second-hand goods scheme. It particularly applies to second-hand car dealers. And what that basically means is that you account for VAT on the margin that you sell the vehicle for, not on the sales price and the purchase. What? So hold on a minute. Now, so I don't account for it on the sales. Yeah, but it's not on what you sell it for. It's on the margin between what you sell it for and what you buy it for. Ah, well, hold on a minute. That means I do get some of the VAT back from when I buy it. Yeah, sort of. And I'm just going to leave it like that because the point of the second-hand goods scheme is that you only account for VAT on the margin. You don't account for it on the whole sales price. That's why you end up with a lower number. So, Martin, yes. VAT, yes. I'm just starting in business, yes. Do I become VAT registered? Depends. What? Well, the VAT threshold is £85,000. It's £85,000 until 2026, 2028, a period of time. That threshold has been fixed. But you've just started in business, so you're not sure whether or not you're going to be VAT registered or not. And we've talked on other videos about startups and whether or not you should go into that VAT registration. But what that VAT registration does is, if you decide to VAT register, everybody knows that the VAT threshold is £85,000. So you decide to do that as you start up. Well, you've just said to somebody that your turnover is £85,000 because you're VAT registered. So you are creating an illusion of size and you're dealing with VAT immediately. Now, that might be because you know that your turnover is going to be more than £85,000 in the first year. But that might be because you've got a customer that says, I'm only going to deal with you if you're VAT registered. Okay, I'll become VAT registered. Yeah, right, fine, great. We'll place an order and off we go. So you don't have to see the £85,000 as something that you've got to have to become VAT registered. It's something that you can use to your benefit to create an illusion of size or to win a contract that perhaps that non-VAT registration wouldn't give you. So hopefully those were 5 things that you didn't know about VAT or thought you did know, but I've just helped clarify them. But maybe you're just going to start in business and you're not sure whether VAT applies or not. Or are there any other things that you need to think about? Because starting up a business is quite scary. Well, why not check out our video on starting up a business?